What is up, beautiful people of the world? Yes, you know who it is. We got Quadroon up on the mic here for another SUSOST interview. Yes, that's right, baby. Stand up, stand out to stand together. Here on the other line, have a very special individual, an instrumentalist, a producer, a brother of my best friend, Austin Kopec. How are you doing, my man?
What's going on, man? How's it going?
Oh, just incredible. I've been excited for this. We've been pegging back and forth with some times, kind of, not hit or miss, but it's been a little long and overdue. So I am ready. I'm excited. And, let's just hop into this ish. My dude, I feel like a good entrance, is your connection into this project. Obviously the joint that we've made here, it's going to be known as Baby Daddy, coming out on the project. It's one of my favorite. It's honestly one of my favorite tracks I've ever made all time, and it's not just because of the intense, emotional, close to home lyrical content, but the merging of how we've came together with vocals and production, dude. It's really some next level. Like, whoa, this is what I want to be doing down the road. And it's incredible that it's the first track we've ever made. I mean, we've known each other for a long period of time, but obviously been in different kind of fields and age dynamics, etc. But just so glad to have made that. So I kind of want to ask you, bro, like, I remember when you sent that to me a long ass time ago. Where were you? What was going on? What do you remember about that track? And maybe just take me into kind of your overall musical scene at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure that I recorded that first like track I sent you pretty much right after I finished my first EP, um,
Okay.
uh, uh, Moonflower, and so I think it's kind of interesting. And we were just talking about this a little before, but how it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've like released any new music,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'm almost glad about that because I think that our track is like a very crucial stepping point for after my EP.
Totally feel
It
that.
still has a little bit of that vibe, it's got like that kind of sound. I recorded all that stuff just in just in my bedroom. Um, and but it's also kind of kind of how we have it like split up. First half is kind of just on a loop, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
it's got like a soft synth in there, which is like the same one I use on my EP.
Oh,
A,
okay, that's badass.
a lot of like the drums and arrangements is just like the same like presets I use on the EP and stuff. And then we've got that kind of that break or change halfway through
Yeah.
that has a slight change in progression also, and instead of like the soft synth, it's a Rhodes um, that I'm playing that I got.
Uh-huh. Oh
um,
yes, bro. Shout to the roads.
I've always like wanted a Rhodes, and I found one for sale in Vermont, uh, where I lived before. So uh, I drove up there and I grabbed it, and I think that like that song was like one of the first projects that that I used it on. So
Mm, mm.
and then just like to kind of like loop around to what you kind of initially asked. Um, so I recorded that song. I think like right after I started my job. I started my job like the week I released um, Moonflower,
Okay.
and so I felt like I had like a lot of like ideas and stuff, and like felt like I got this creative momentum, and then I started a full-time job, which is all that allowing yourself to explore those ideas. So I remember I would just like I would come home and I would always try to like record or produce or write for, like at least like an hour after work, like every day, like
Yeah.
just to kind of to keep flowing. And I remember uh, I came up with that progression there is kind of like, like an F major seven to E7 to A7 to I think just G or G minor. I I think it's just a G though. So
Okay.
was kind of playing around with that. Had kind of a strange sound, and I was like, like it's got some stuff that's in key, some stuff that's out of key. Um, oh, actually, I think ours is in C, and it's that same kind of like progression though. So,
For sure.
um, and E and yeah, I was just like, oh man, like this is pretty cool. I should like send this like to camp because it kind of had like the kind of music that I like a lot is like the crossover between like alternative and R&B, So like
Yeah. Yeah.
I love yeah, so like I love like Erica Badu and D'Angelo. Like that was what I was like. I think in that era, like I was listening to like uh voodoo like every day.
Yeah, no, dude, exactly. Just one more gin, son. Come on. Yeah, that untitled at the
Like,
end. Oh, word, dude.
um, and then but so I kind of really only started playing a lot of that R&B stuff in like 2018, like so like the year before I sent you that first track,
Okay.
and like a lot of like the other music I had been playing was just kind of closer to like alternative indie stuff. Um,
Yeah, that's definitely what I had known you to kind of be specialized in, or when I had seen you play live in the band, growing up in high school and shit. That was kind of more of what I had associated. So I remember too when you sent it through, I was like, yo, this is dope. And this is not like necessarily what I would have anticipated from you. So that's cool that that was right in kind of a time where you were making that transformation in general.
yeah, like and also like I think what a lot of it was is that like I've always been like primarily a guitar player
Mhm.
and a strings player. And after I moved home from Vermont and in August of 2018 or September of 2018, um, I I just started like messing around with synthesizers just as a way to like kind of explore like other sounds and stuff. And it was kind of like lining up with a lot of like the music like I was into, like a lot of the
Mhm.
kind of like home shake stuff and like Acta Marco, that
Oh,
kind of
word up. Yeah.
crossover of like indie guitar work, but then also playing synths and keys and like that kind of stuff. So and then and like this is a track also that like I mean I feel like that we like knocked out a lot of it pretty early on pre-COVID, and then kind of I at least like kind of dropped off a little bit like and felt kind of stuck on it. It was like I think it needs something else. I'm not sure like what it is, yada yada, and then over COVID, I got the roads right before that, like right before lockdown. So I just played that thing like every day.
Ah,
And
yeah.
it was a blessing in a way that I just learned to play the keys over COVID. That
Straight
I had a
up.
lot of time like for that, and then I revisited the track like maybe like 7 months or something after I kind of like had like stepped away from it, and I was like, oh, all right, like I got all these ideas now. Like I'm like a better keys player. I've like been producing just like, small little things like for myself, like just messing around with like recording and producing like every day. Um, so I think like that's what kind of gives it that nice spread and like that change of growth and style.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
where the first half of it is just like kind of beat, you know, and then the second half is like live tracked every or like every instrument is played through like
For
that whole
sure.
thing. It's not just looped after 4 bars, which the majority of the first half is. Although I think I play I
I think you do say still play some keys atop that live, right?
yeah, so or in the first half or in the second half you're talking about?
Well, definitely in the second half, but yeah, I was curious if that's what you're referring to or no.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so like the second half, I think every instrument is just played all the way through.
Live, yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure.
there's no like looping or anything as far as I remember. Um, and then in the first half, I know that like the synths are on a loop. I think the drums are definitely on a loop too. But I think that for the, the bass part, I'm playing live still, like just because like it was honestly easier for me.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, and I love the live bass feel rather.
Yeah, and another thing that I started to do was like I'll have stuff looped in that first half, but it's not like everything is looping after 4 bars. Like the synth part will be looped after like 6 or 8, and then the drums will be looped for 2. So like there are like areas where like different things are like matching up. It's not like just
Absolutely.
like it's not a block of 4 things all looping at the same time. There's this thing that plays here that loops here, then this one loops
Hmm.
here. Um,
The
and
whole
I
art
think
of the
that
loop, yeah.
yeah, so and I think like that kind of helps, you know, cheat the system a little bit and make it sound like things are being played live, even if they're not necessarily just because you got like different instruments like sitting on top of or sitting under other areas of the loop that they're not in that first pass through,
Correct.
So,
Correct. No, that's dope.
yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So
No, man, that's badass, and it's crazy when you start talking about it and like just really exactly get the expanse of time that we've been working on the project, and obviously the whole album has been this process that extends beyond like even memorable time for me, and yet certain songs have come earlier in that and later, and like ours was one of those that definitely was like uh not only kind of like in the middle of the journey of at least the creations of the songs on my timetable, but one that we wanted to like approach with, and work with. And we knew from the jump, like, oh, damn, this was really dank and it had mad potential. But we also, and like, again, on your side, could definitely feel like you were knowing, hey, dude, there's something instrumentally that can be shifted or adjusted or pushed or, and kind of the entrance into that second half. I don't want to call it an explosion, an eruption, but that doesn't necessarily capture the energy, but that shift, that transformation, obviously, which then takes an A minus B plus to holy shit. Now this is like something to really study and uh, build forward upon just artistically in both of our journeys, and that's really cool to hear as well. I didn't know that for you, like the track itself not only represents but demonstrates like that growth of your journey through it. So that's also like really cool and an element that I've been trying to incorporate within my recording process of capturing the growth amidst the recording itself, not only emphasizing either a previous sound or previous time or style or flow or modern or new or what you're doing now, but like somehow piecing those together and demonstrating the very growth amidst the recording process seems super satisfying. And so I'm curious too, dude, like tell me like how, from within that process that we kind of just described, the phase where, you had created something inspired, thought of me, we had talked about wanting to collaborate for a while, so then it just kind of had came up in that flow. And then I hit you back with this track, which again is, for those listening that either haven't listened or can't because the project's not out yet, it's a track about me becoming a father. Like, how did that influence, steer, capture, reflect like the energies of which you had, kind of initially approached the track with, slash, then wanted to take it further? And just in general for you, I'm curious, as a producer working with lyricists, like, and I'm not sure your prior experience doing so, but what is it like, and what is your normal kind of mindset when you hand a piece of material to a lyricist, kind of wanting them to do whatever they want with it, or maybe give them a little 2 cents here, but maybe also having a personal, whether it be conscious or subconscious, attachment or fixation or expectation of what kind of lyrics and energy would be, atop the track? How do you manage that, in your own head, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that I just remembered actually was that we were actually like working on other songs. Like I was sending you like some other stuff um, that we were trying to like work on, and like we're kind of like hitting a wall with. And then just send you this track, like just as like, oh, like hey, like by the way, I like came up with this.
Uh-huh.
And like
Uh-huh.
didn't well like the next like morning or something, you send me the demo of you like rapping over it, and I was just like, oh fuck, all right,
Yeah, screw
like
everything else. This is
hear
it.
them
Yeah.
other songs, like fucking like those are yeah, no, this is like yeah. So and like I felt like super inspired by that. It's like like it's like a lot of the songs are right. They kind of just start out as like a progression, and it's sometimes hard for me to get them out of or get them on to the next stage, you know.
For sure.
And when you sent me that recording, like I think it was just it was like play on your laptop's like speakers, and you were just holding your phone like up to your face,
Yeah. Yeah. Just
and
giving
like
the exactly.
yeah, and I was like, oh shit, like that's the song, like that's like right there. And then like the like lyrical matter of it was like, like so like it was like confounding, it was like just like like this like this emotional important song, and like I felt just grateful that you opened up and like shared that on something that I made. It's like, all right, like this isn't like just a song now. It's like a it's like a piece of your life and your journey, and like
Mhm.
I'm involved in that also, which like I was
Mhm.
just like super like thankful for. Um and like I knew like right away. I was like, all right, like like this song's gonna rip. Like
Straight up.
it's got the feel, it's got the emotion, like it's got subject matter now that's like so important, and like is like such like a beautiful thing too. And so I think like that's also what made me after uh like kind of think like, all right, like I got some more work to do now.
I know.
Like,
I feel that's the natural feedback loop though that we could do to each other. You send that, and I'm instantly like, I gotta write a song. I gotta sit out here and just write this, and because it's happening. And then you're just like, oh shit, bro. Okay, you feel that? Like I gotta do this shit.
yeah, I was like, all right, I can't just have this as like four chords on a loop anymore. Like we got to have some interesting stuff happening, and I do think that like the track like reflects that pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, I think that like what we were like talking about like a little bit earlier too. It's got that kind of halfway shift, and
For sure.
which I think like that can be like representative of a lot of things, and interpreted in a lot of ways, you know, like um especially since I think that I finished it, like I finished that second thing like added in the second part like after your son was born. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this song has like the pre part, you know, like
Correct.
and the after, and still, you know, it's still the same song. It's a similar-ish progression. The chords change a little bit in the second half, and like I think, you know, like we're talking about like this idea of growth and change, and like I like how subtle it is, you know, like
Yeah.
it's not like A and B, it's A and A prime, you know,
Correct.
it's like
Correct.
it's still the same. And you know, I think like that's kind of how I feel about like a lot of um just like a lot of like things in life where like a lot of change is very incremental, and it's like I think like we kind of expect change to happen like on a whole and very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's not necessarily always how it is, at least in my experience. You know, like
Yeah.
obviously you know you became a father, so that's a lot more. That's a bigger
Yeah, that is, yeah, no, but it's different. It's like you say, just not all the time. Yeah, but sometimes.
but yeah, so again, I just think like there should be like something to be said for small change is still like a good change, you know, and I feel like that we like unintentionally we captured that in the song pretty well, which I think is like, you know, is awesome because
Definitely.
it wasn't even something that I was like necessarily thinking about or focus on. It just kind of how it happened, and I think that's also just from working on a song for like over a year, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and her revising stuff. Like I've got a story actually. So I remember like it was must have been like 2021 or
Okay.
22. No, I think it was 21. Yeah, it was like it was during one of the points where you start like hanging out with people again a
Yeah.
little bit, like just like your close like friends and stuff. Um, and I was hanging out with my friend Max uh, Mason, and we were at my place, and I was just like kind of playing stuff on the keys. Like it was, you know, it was at a point that I was just like trying to like produce like as like as much as I could. And so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Max, like come over, like let's hang out. And like Max has a great voice, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, let's just like, you know, just like have some drinks, screw around, and like and try to like make some shit. And and so we're doing that, and you know, he kind of started asking me like just like he just wanted to hear some of the stuff that I've been like working on, and I was like, all right, well, I've been like working on this song for Cam for fucking like a year,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and I put it on, and we're just like listening to it, and I was like, yeah, yeah, like this is cool, and like I also have like a thing where like it's sometimes it's hard for me to like listen to a song,
With someone.
yeah, or like it helps if I'm with is someone else because then I kind of
Yes.
think like, all right, like how are they
Correct.
absorbing this? How are
Totally, dude. I
they?
was just saying about this. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. And like so that helps a lot. And I was like, oh, like yeah, this is cool actually. Like I like this. Like I'm pretty happy with this. And then I like I completely forgot that like a that like a few nights ago I like got kind of drunk and like did all those synth parts at the end of the song. You
Yeah.
know, like the glittery things, and like
Hmm.
So that just comes in, and I'm just like, whoa, like what the like it was like elves went into the session and recorded some shit like while I was asleep. And I was like, oh, I totally forgot that I recorded this like a week ago or something. And like you were like both just like sitting there, just like, oh. And then after that, I was like, all right, like I think the song's done. Like, like,
Yeah, there exactly. Okay, okay.
and like it took that kind of like removing myself from the process of
Yeah,
like
that's
hearing
super
it as
meta.
a listener and well, like honestly forgetting that I yeah because
Even
I would like go in the song and I would like change some stuff or tinker some stuff, add some stuff in, and then I would go in again, hear it, be like, not so much, erase like the changes I made, and I was just like kind of like doing that for the last like month or two of like the production song, and like yeah, I just like completely forgot I added in like all those just like the synth parts and the effects. I was like, okay, I
that's
think
cool,
it's
dude. That's a really fun story. Yeah, shout out to Max too and his beautiful voice. Now, tell me, like, just kind of reflecting on that philosophically in your own journey. We're getting some bigger picture stuff. There's a lot of small details in your specific journey of which could be referenced, or again, we need to have the time to do so. But I'm curious, like for you as an artist, as long as I've known you, you've identified with at the least being a guitarist, but some artistry element, like for that as an existential, dare I say, kind of like ontological, just way of being for yourself. The methodology of creation in which you describe, where your conscious egoic attention you use the word removing, which I like. We could also say maybe like dissolving slash deterring slash not being aware of itself,
mm,
uh, being a gateway in allowing for a type of creativity or a type of manifestation which otherwise seems either impossible or is much more like an incremental thing, where in another way, as we're referencing the different ways in which change comes, boom, it kind of happens. You refer to it like, how is that for you, a way in which you just live your life? And what element of that is something that art teaches you every day? And that is like a way in which you merge your artist self with your egoic self, who, as a dude trying to make art, versus you when you're just in the music. Any musician, any instrumentalist, any vocalist knows, like, there is no you, there is no sound, there is just a
mm,
happening in which it is one, in which the perceiver and the perceived um, become so harmonious that you couldn't even separate one from the other. And so I'm curious to just get your thoughts and feedback on that, because it seems like a pretty major discovery, as the story kind of captures and our song represents, but then expand upon that and maybe just to speak as to, how that discovery has pushed you and led you as to where you are today.
yeah. So uh, uh, I mean, I'm like someone who's definitely like the the act of like of creating like music and art is like such like a cathartic um thing for me, and is like a release from like everyday shit,
Mhm, mhm.
like you obviously like uh uh know this, and I'm sure the listeners have probably assumed, but like as a stutterer, it's like sometimes it's hard to like express yourself and in like accurate ways, or like at least or in like certain situations and stuff. And the greatest thing about music is like that kind of block or whatever just like isn't there. It's not a
Mhm,
part of the process. So like
mhm.
it's very like freeing, and I feel like it's kind of a blessing in a way, like for me, just because um I feel like it's kind of almost like a truer version of myself, and my
Yeah.
thoughts and stuff is expressed through music, just because there's no hindrances, you know.
Uh-huh.
Like, like I've heard like songs that I've like made like a recording of or wrote in the past, and I'll like revisit it and be like, okay, I didn't even like realize this at the time, but this is like this reflects like who I was then and how I felt then in a way that like I didn't even understand
Totally.
uh, superficial,
Totally.
and so and like I think that's a hard thing for like a lot of artists, and I
Mhm.
feel it's like kind of thankful that it's something that kind of comes pretty naturally to me.
Yeah.
Um, you know, for like for better or for worse, kind of like a trade-off, I guess. But
Absolutely.
as an artist, I mean, it's kind of it's pretty cool. So
Yeah, no, dude, straight up. I will never to exchange a story back. I think what there was like I want to say a small bar of some sorts in Pleasantville that I've saw you perform at potentially. Does that remind any things? Did you ever play at the spot that your mom that our moms would go to?
yeah, dude, Lucy's in Pleasantville.
Lucy's, bro. Yeah, at Lucy's. It was potentially there. I may be confusing the location, so I don't want to give that too straight, but shout out to Lucy's. The
Yeah.
first time I heard you sing, bro, and you weren't stuttering, and it was like straight up, even just thinking about like almost like tear jerking type shit, bro. And like one of, if not like just that one of the more powerful representations of the potency of music, and it's beautiful to hear you discuss it from the inside and be like so self-aware of it and so open with it, as well as like acknowledging the beauty and the trade-off of that in some maturity. A a way in which this lifestyle, in which this poison, in which this obsession with the creativity or the artistry, which is humanhood, comes into one of these more uh, shall we say, annoying, hindering, squeaky, everyday, minute things of the human life and human brain. And manifestation to me is just like, again, one of the best ways you can capture its not only medicinal, but mystical and magical effectiveness in curing the existential insanity which arises by just being a human, especially now. So that's really dope to hear from you, my bro. And I appreciate that sharing. And I'm always been one on that side of wanting to watch that journey, dude, as like one of your number one fans, and someone who again is like, yo, let's combine, let's converge those energies and make some dope that we can do otherwise in ourselves. Shout out to 420 time left on our recording. Shout out to non-pro Zoom. God damn. So listen, bro, we're here at
Rookie
this final
manager.
little smash. Exactly, working with what we got. I want to give you an opportunity to just like plug your bands. Like you have some things that are going to be coming out soon. Like you were referencing, your earlier EP released back in 2019. Like tell the people like what you're doing, where you're doing it, where they can find you and your stuff. And I'll put all the technical information in the bio below. But obviously a great way to just plug yourself, hype yourself up. Anybody else that you would like to as well.
Yeah. So I guess for starters, I'll just say overall that on my website, austinkopec.com, that's going to have everything on it. So so you can find that there. So recently I've been playing in a group up here in Peekskill called Andy and the O'Neills. Um, uh, my friend Andy O'Neill is the songwriter and band leader for that group. He's unbelievably talented, great songwriter. I met him through like a songwriters circle up here in Peekskill, and was just instantly a huge fan of his stuff. And then he was starting a band, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll play any instrument except for drums." Like,
Yeah. Well, whatever you need, I'm there.
yeah. So I've been playing uh, lead guitar in that band, um, and even working on some recording stuff. We just had a session like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It sounds great. So that stuff is going to be coming out, I think, relatively soon. Like it all sounds good. Um,
That's awesome to hear.
so um, yeah, so I've got that group, and then also I've just got like my project, Austin Kopec, and I was up in Vermont recording at a studio called, called Future Fields,
Okay, shout out to Future Fields.
who with my friend Dan Rome, was producing and engineering the sessions, and interestingly, like he like asked me, he was like, "Oh, so like you don't like stutter when you sing?" And I was like, "No," and I always forget this is a thing that like shocks people. That like
Uh-huh.
it's like it's not even like there's not even like a chance of it happening. It's like a different
Completely, dude. Oh man.
yeah. So and he was just like, "That is fucking like the coolest thing I've ever heard."
No, bro, like literally it's like superpower type shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly. So yeah, I've been recording up there with him. I got another session up there in May. So we're gonna start rolling those tracks out. Also, I'm playing a show here with my live band at Soul Brewing in Pleasantville. Um, so I'm just excited to, you know, kick off the revitalization of Austin Kopec band and that solo project, and finally get some music out. Yeah, so I think it's gonna be like I have a big thing for like chronological music stuff, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, like I, or yeah, so like I'm just glad that I think that mm, my catalog is going to reflect the same change and growth I've had
Mhm.
from my first EP, since
Mhm.
your song is like the first thing I recorded like a week after I released that EP. So
No, totally.
that's gonna come out, and then I'm gonna start rolling out the new era of the Austin Kopec songs. I think that our song is gonna act as a nice bridge.
Yes.
So listeners are gonna have still an accurate idea of my growth and projection as an artist. So yeah, I was kicking myself a few years ago for not like for not putting out more music, and now I feel like everything is lining up in the right way, and
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
it's cliche, but like trust the process, because it's gonna be
Dude, damn straight. Yeah, I mean, trust the process and fuck the obnoxious. My dude, it's so great to talk with you at some length. And once again, as I've maybe said on a couple of these interviews before, but as I'm learning every time and can't help it, it's fun to just interview the homies. I mean, ask and learn some shit that I wouldn't have done otherwise, and just be able to give us space to like really go through and reflect upon our process and yours and our own journeys in a way that just allows space for that, and where we're making shit, we're living through life, we're not hopping on the phone, whatever you just don't do. So my dude, really good to catch up with you in some lifetime. I'm really glad that we could hear from one of the most talented musicians I know. And dude, mega important person in my life. I mean, fucking years and years. We're talking over a decade of that presence. So really glad that I can hold that space for you within, once again, another SUSOST interview. It's your boy Quadroon on the mic, son. We got Austin Kopec, other line. Thank y'all for tuning in. The album is coming. It is coming. Get yourself ready. Woo! My man. Much love.
Hey man, thank you, Cam. Talk to you later.
So, fruitly, brother.